All right, that's a QR code. If you point to it, I'll send you the GitHub repo and a whole bunch of education stuff. It's 100% free. Everything I do, I like sharing information. I'm Marcelo Lewin. Thank you for inviting us to do this. I've created a framework called Cody Framework, and it's spec-driven development. I'm not sure how many of you have vibe coded. I know some of you have vibe coded, but the promise of vibe coding in 30 minutes is a total lie. If you actually want to do an app that will scale and is maintainable and can go to production. So a little bit about me. I've been in the tech industry for 30 plus years. I've done tons of different kinds of jobs. From developer, I started as a developer. I'll skip all that. Here's my contact info. If you need to get a hold of me, just grab me from there. My website is icodewith.ai. It's purely educational, lots of information there, and the framework is there that I'm going to show you. So I'm going to set a level here for everybody. That's for those of you that are not familiar with vibe coding. I'm just going to do it real quick. Vibe coding is a modern approach to software creation that blends AI-assisted development with human intuition and structure. Instead of code, so code isn't the main artifact. Now you start with the idea. You have conversations with AI, and you iterate quickly, and you keep going until you come up with something that hopefully works. And through the use of AI tools, those interactions are then turned into code. That's vibe coding at the general. And doing an app in 30 minutes or in 2 hours, yes, you can do it. But then you have to have a list of risks levels and impacts to those risks. And do you want to vibe code a 30-minute app and put it out there for a million people to use? And will it scale to a million people? So that's where the problem with vibe coding is. Why doesn't vibe coding deliver what you want? And again, you can just point here and you get the QR code there. But vibe coding by itself, the way I just explained it, which is just doing it quickly in 30 minutes, it lacks clear goals, and it leads to scattered results. Because you have no goals. You just tell it, write me an app that can track, do to-do apps. Well, tell that to a human, let's see what they code for you, right? Without giving actual specs, without really understanding what you want. AI will start making assumptions when intent is vague. If you're not sure, AI is not sure either. It'll just start making assumptions, quote unquote, hallucinating. Code may work, but will lack cohesion or structure. It's going to be very hard to reproduce or scale what you build. That's the reality of vibe coding today. It's amazing. I'm totally pro vibe coding, don't get me wrong. But if you're going to production, if you're going to scale, totally different story, right? Returning to a project, I don't know how many of you have vibe coded and then came back to a project. It feels like you're starting completely over if there is no structure. You're going in there, AI has no clue what you did, even though it helped you 5 minutes ago. It had no clue what you did because you closed the chat window and all the context is gone, right? And then momentum stalls because context gets lost. So you give up. You go, AI is terrible. The promise of vibe coding is horrible. Forget it. So how do we fix this? Well, we got to feed you the broccoli inside the pizza so you don't know you're getting healthy food. All right. So what we do is we need to add the SDLC to vibe coding. The SDLC, for those of you that are not familiar with it, it's the software development lifecycle, right? And it's a structured way of turning ideas into working software. And it's all about the flow of creation, right? And the flow is very simple. You plan, you build, you test, you release, and you do that over and over and over until you've got an app. Then you add a feature, you go through that process again, and you release it, right? It's a bit more complex than that, but that's the overview, simplified aspect of it. So that's where spec-driven development comes, right? We're going from vibe coding, adding a little sprinkle of broccoli and SDLC to it, and now we have spec-driven development, which was coined by, I think, by Amazon with their Kiro environment first, but everybody is now following that. And spec-driven development begins with the idea. You always start with the idea. It's still idea focused. It's still the main aspect of spec-driven development is your idea. It's not code. AI will help us refine and add context. AI will then help us figure out the why and the how. Because it's not just about the idea, but you need to understand, why are you creating this? Who's the audience? How are you going to create this? What's the tech stack? What kind of features do you want now for your MVP versus later? We need a feature backlog. There's all these things that you need to know that AI needs to know to help you come up with an app that you can actually scale, right? So then from all of that, AI will help you. I say AI here, but it's a partnership. Think of AI as your developer, as your human developer. It's a partnership between you and the AI. And AI will help you create specs. And those specs are your shared blueprints. And that's what spec-driven development is all about. Is the spec is the place where you do all your feature updates, not code. There's no more going to code first and then update your documentation. It's the documentation that drives the code. And it's circular. It keeps doing that. You need a new feature, you add it to the documentation, you define it, you refine it, then you generate code from that. And AI knows what you want because it's in there. Very important. AI will then break the specs into chunks, right? Sprints, versions, releases, call it whatever you want to call it. You break it into chunks. You don't tell your developer, I have this huge app that I'm interested in, now go build it all and I want to see it tomorrow. No, you break it into releases. Version 1, we're going to set up the infrastructure. Version 2, we're going to add, the front end, however you want to break it into. Then AI creates design specs and tasks for those chunks, right? Your backlog, which then it uses to create the code. And now you're creating code. And you're creating code iteratively, right? So now you're actually having the AI stay very focused on just the functionality that you want to add, and it doesn't hallucinate. Now, it still will hallucinate a little bit sometimes, right? So you've got that's why I always say human in the loop is important, especially a developer. Developers will never lose their jobs. Don't be afraid of losing your job. The only ones that will is the ones that completely ignore AI. If you adapt to AI, your job is secure because a developer truly knows what AI is creating. So then you rinse and repeat until we deliver a highly scalable and maintainable app. All right, so Cody, the framework that I designed, is available on GitHub, 100% free. Go get it, have fun, send me the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to know how to improve it. But you start with the discovery phase. You start with a napkin idea. Oh, I have this great idea. Put it on a napkin. Give it to Cody. And then it'll help you define it and scope it into sort of a discovery document. From there, you go into planning phase. The planning phase is, all right, let's figure out why are you creating this? That's your PRD, your product requirements document. From there, you go into your design document, which is how are we going to implement this, right? We know the why, we know your idea, but how do you want to do this? What framework do you want to use? If you're not a developer, you may let AI pick it, but I would always recommend have a human. I'm talking about if it's a professional app, not a game that you're doing at home for yourself. If it's a professional app that you want to make money with, have a real human verify some of these things before you actually go down the road of coding with AI. And then you start building it. Then you get into the build phase. Notice all the steps that we went through, no 30 seconds or 30 minutes. Maybe 2 days, but it's not going to be 6 months, which is the traditional prior to AI, right? Then you break it down into development. You break down the development to manageable chunks. So I just took a prompt that I obviously pre-wrote, but put it in the oven and the cake is baked. So I'm going to put it on I use Claude Code. This works with Copilot. It works with any AI agentic development tool. But on the right, I have Claude Code without Cody. On the left, I have Claude Code with Cody. And you can see I activated Cody by going /Cody, which is a slash command in Claude Code. And it says, hey, Cody, spec-driven, welcome. Here are all the available commands. On the right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this. And I'm going to let it go real quick here. And what's going to happen now is it's going to go, okay, let me create it's coding. It's coding already, right? But and then no, what do you mean you're coding? Why are you coding without asking me questions of exactly what I mean by this prompt? Even though it's a good prompt, I want to create a simple Chrome extension called Random Joke of the Day. When the user clicks, I gave it some details, right? But that's not enough details to actually create this. So in Cody, what happens now, I'm going to close this so you can see this a little better. Already activated it. So I'm going to go Cody plan. So with Cody plan, and this is agent, and it's not rocket science. You'll see it in the GitHub. It's all markdown files along with some bash scripts and stuff. We're in the plan phase. First question, what do you want to create? So now I'm going to paste. And remember, before it jumped into coding immediately, right? So now I'm pasting this. So Cody is looking at that, which is the AI agent. And now it's saying it's going to be conducting a discovery Q&A with user. First thing, right? And this is all in my agentic markdown with the commands that guides. There you go. Great. I'm going to ask you some questions to fully understand the outcome. If you're not sure how to answer them, type help me. First question, 1 of 8. Who is the target audience? See, something that the other one didn't ask me, because different target audiences, we may design it differently. So instead of answering this, I'm going to say, and we go through this process, I'm going to say help me. What's going to happen now, because I may not know, that's the beautiful power of non-deterministic LLMs, is that you want to use their creativity, because you're not know-it-all. Even if you're the idea person, you may not know all the extra things that maybe you can add. So with AI, we can use the power of AI to help us. Okay, so I'm going to say it's for general Chrome users. So what's happening now, and we're not going to have enough time, but what's happening now, it's getting me, see, this isn't 30 minutes. To finish this app, it's going to be probably by the end of the day, which still is pretty cool, considering that, 6 months ago, it would have taken 6 months to do anything, right? So the idea here is that it's asking me what specific problem or need does this extension solve for general. It's going to ask me 8 questions. I'm not going to go through them. After that, it'll actually create, let's see if we can just cut me just when you're, I'm just going to say help, and I'm going to answer whatever. So quick mood boost, see? So because that maybe you can add some features to help people with improve their moods. How will the extension, how will you know it's successful? For, say, number of installs. So what it's doing, and these are not preset questions, by the way. I use outcome-based context engineering. Outcome-based context engineering is different than standard context engineering. Instead of me saying, ask these 10 questions, I tell AI, hey, make sure you ask the user enough questions to satisfy what we need, and I list 10 categories that we need to have questions to create an app. So I don't say ask question this, ask this question, ask this question. I focus on the outcome and let AI do what AI does best, right? Which is being non-deterministic, being creative. So all these questions are not pre-written. These questions are based on my original idea and the categories that I told AI, hey, we need to satisfy knowing these categories before you can move forward into the next phase, which the next phase is creating the PRD, creating the plan phase. After that, we create the feature backlog. And then from the feature backlog, we start creating versions. And then we start coding.